Streaming services are something that I use. I have several of them in my house, as well as a large physical media collection. And a lot of people say that, streaming is killing off physical media, and it is, but I believe we're coming to a head at some point. When streaming first came out, there was Netflix. That was it. That was the one you would get, and it was great. The wealth of stuff on it was fantastic to start with. As the years have gone on and more people are trying to get a little bit of that money, it's become very diluted. You have Disney, you have Shudder, you have Arrow, you have BFI Player, Amazon Prime, all different kinds of other streaming services. It's not just a case of signing up to one and getting that content. Now there are originals for each of these channels. There's separate ones. If you want to get it all, you're having to sign up to multiple streaming services, and that's costing a lot of money. But there is benefits to streaming, and there are down points to it as well. I love my physical media collection. It's not as simple as physical media versus streaming, because in that case, if you're asking me, physical media is always going to work better. You get the tangibility of having it. You've got that always there at your hands. You've got the extras and the better conversion of the movie, better bit rate, the better care taken into the transfer. A 4K disc is always going to be better than a 4K digital copy. And you have all these things that just make physical media for me much, much better than streaming services. But streaming services are becoming the norm. They're becoming the thing that people go to. And the problem with that is you are stuck into a list of movies that are curated by somebody else. It's not by your own tastes. Whereas physical media, you're collecting the movies, you're getting things that you like, that you want, and you're building up a curated list for you. If you're on one of these services, you're getting whatever they could get their hands on. Whatever algorithms tell them that you're going to consume quickly and dispose of as soon as you're done. The problem with various streaming services is it's all the same stuff. It's all newer movies. It's all big hitters from the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. And beyond that, there's very little to actually see. If you go on to, say, Netflix, like I did the other day, and looked for some film noir movies, anything from the 40s, I think there was one movie from the 40s, a couple from the 50s, until we kind of hit the 80s, and then they started to build up the movies. They don't have any historical movies on there, ones that are really worth the effort, classics of cinema. If you want to find anything, deep cuts, you're not going to find them on these streaming services, because they're not the thing that people are just going to go and watch. It's the thing that film fans really want. And to be honest, if we want it, we're probably going to search it out on physical media more than these streaming services. And as they dilute the market by bringing out more and more, I think we're going to see people stretched. I don't want to have 7 or 8 streaming services on the go at any one time. It's redundant. I do watch streaming services, but it's a convenience. It's almost like sitting down for a fast food meal. I just want something easily that's going to quickly give me a little kick, and then I'll completely forget about it an hour later. If I want to spend my time, if I want to soak in something really rich and have a proper meal, I'll sit down to one of my discs, a movie that I've spent money on, that I care about, that I want to sit and watch. How often have you sat in front of a streaming movie and half paid attention, or played on your phone, or did something else? It's not something where you sit down and really focus on. Rarely there is the odd thing that's worth it, but most of the time it's just not there, and it becomes just a service for modern day movies. Now, there's some things that I quite like that are modern day that I probably would buy, but I don't, because I know they're on these services. If I want to see a Marvel movie, they're all on Disney Plus. I have Disney Plus because I've got kids. I've already done a video on it. There's not really much on there that really sells it to me, but while the price is still low, yes, I'm happy to get it for the kids to watch, and I'll dip in and watch the odd thing, rather than spending money on, say, Thor 4K. I'll just go to Disney and watch it rather than buying it. For that, it's a benefit. For quick and easy watches, it's good, it's there, and it's easy to consume. But how long can it really last? With all these different streaming services starting to cannibalise each other, how long can we really go with 10, 12, 20 different streaming services? It's just not possible. I have 3 at the moment. I have Netflix, which I've kind of always had, and I did enjoy, but I found over the past year or so really struggling to find content that I am desperately eager to check out. I've got Amazon Prime, but that's more of a byproduct. I want the next day delivery, so I get Prime for that. Amazon Prime comes with it. And to be honest, there is a few movies I've watched on there, but it's all kind of 80s centric ones. They do have some good Italian movies, but the quality isn't quite there on them. And Amazon's UI is just terrible. It's one of the worst out there. And like I said, I have Disney, which is primarily for the kids, and primarily because I get a year's free subscription to it through my phone company for some reason, just a promotion they had. So that's what I have. I did have Shudder, but what I found with Shudder was I loved it. It was horror movies, it was great, but I didn't watch much on it. Not enough to justify keeping it. I'm interested in some of the other ones, like the Arrow one, but I've got a lot of Arrow discs. Why would I want to go and watch the digital equivalent when I have the physical discs there, which are going to be better quality? Streaming is a conundrum. It's one of these things that I feel is really changing the way people watch movies. I mean, how often did people watch it on their mobiles before? You know, a small screen that isn't really ideal for taking things in. Movie decisions made by analytics more than anything else. One of the biggest hitters on Netflix is Adam Sandler. His movies are hit and a miss, quite often more a miss these days, and he is getting a fortune and getting to do whatever he wants because people just tune in and watch those things. I feel as if it's given a real kind of indent into movie watching and the way it's evolving, and I find myself regressing backwards into the physical media collection more and more. I used to watch a lot on streaming, and now I watch very little. It's something that I'll put on when I don't want to focus, when I'm doing something on the computer, whether I'm editing for the channel or doing something else. It's background noise pretty much. Very rarely do I go and watch one of their original programmes. There has been some that's been outstanding, but not enough to warrant the amount of effort that it takes to sit and watch all their stuff. Because of this current generation who are moving into streaming services, I'm starting to feel like boutiques, DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, all those kind of things are something that's going to become something of the past, something that people are going to move away from because they just go for the convenient lifestyle. We've seen it in Wall-E. You know, everything that's convenient and easy is not good for us. Sometimes it's good to work for things. And even thinking back to my younger days when you had to work to find a movie, you know, you didn't have IMDb there straight away. You couldn't just research something and find out a whole lot of movies. It was all word of mouth. You had to read magazines and find things out and search for copies of movies. Things have become all too convenient. It's too easy to reach out and just watch a latest blockbuster that's just been in the cinema. But quite often they're not as fulfilling as something that's classical, more older material movie that I just love. What do you guys think of streaming? I'm assuming that most people do use it because it's easy to use. Like I said, I've got 3. How many do you have? How many is too many for monthly payments for these type of things? When it comes to physical media and streaming, what do you prefer? I think I've stated my point. Physical media will always win for the better transfer, the more care, the tangibility of always having it. You don't have that fear that it's suddenly just going to vanish out of nowhere without any kind of warning. I can go to my collection and watch the movies that are there easier than putting on a movie on streaming. And then that's if the internet holds up and doesn't drop out, and then you're raging at the TV because suddenly the signal's not strong enough to play whatever you're watching. It's just a kind of ramble on streaming services, which I find myself being a little bit wary of the more and more they go on, and I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment box below, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.